another rock and roll detention. This one's like a day off because we got our friend returning to the show. Don Jamieson, brand new CD coming out the 18th, I believe. No Sleep to McSorley's. Don, welcome back to Metal Mayhem. How are you, man?
I'm good. It comes out the 19th, but you were very close. And you said off camera that we were that you listened to it 3 times. So I'm guessing you were trying to figure out why people were laughing.
No, the editing took care of that. But quickly, we're going to go through a lot of this. The one thing I took away from this, we're about the same age. It made me feel my age because I'm sitting there driving around. I'm like, well, he's fucking right. This is how it is now. It was great. It was really tongue in cheek, but it's true, man. It's like 2024. What the hell? So why don't we say hello to Metal Walt? He's been excited about catching up with you.
Yeah, oh, that way. There he
is.
There,
I'm over there, and I got my "I don't feel tardy" T-shirt on today, so I'm not feeling late. Don, no, I saw you down at we talked at KK's Priest, which was only 2 weeks ago or so. Bro, since then, I got fired from my job. We had 2 fucking earthquakes in New York City and a solar eclipse. Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. Well,
was it something I said?
It could be from KK's Priest playing here in Jersey, man. That show was completely off the charts. LA Guns, KK's Priest, Burning Witches. I mean, there could have been an aftershock from that show. I'm sure of
it. I saw the show in Buffalo, and nice like 4,000 or 5,000 cap room. There weren't even seats. You just stand, nice elevated, and I just had the best time. Each band was killing those the Burning Witches girls, that was great. One thing I noticed about that show, it was just enough of the set length to really consume it, and you didn't get bored. That's what it was.
Yeah, and you had, the cool thing is like, a lot of people said LA Guns, well, that's a weird fit, but like to me, it's like that makes perfect sense because you have the Burning Witches come out in their power metal, KK's Priest is power metal, so you just put this real solid heavy rock band in the middle. It changes it up a little bit, and then you're ready for KK to come out. So I loved that lineup, and they were all great. LA Guns was killer. They were perfect in that slot. It was a great night.
It was. The Starland was packed, man. I found when they were like sweeping the floors after, like somebody just left a pick on the floor, so I got one of KK's picks.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of cool. And without a job now, I could put it up on eBay, maybe get like $6 or something for it, But Don, you were I was sharing with Verno. You told me this amazing story that back in the day when you used to go out to Akron, Ohio, when you used to visit Ripper when you were on tour, you used to stay in his daughter's bed. Tell the story again, because I think it's fantastic.
Well, before it's funny because I'm going to be out there this weekend, so I'll see Tim. I know he's home, so. But before I was playing the comedy clubs out there, I was just putting together my own DIY little tours of Northeast Ohio where I'd play a rock club on the Thursday, I'd play someone's backyard on a Friday, and Ripper's place, when he used to have the Rock House, I used to play that on the Saturday, and I stayed with him at his house the whole time. And he's an Akron boy, born and bred, still lives there, family guy with kids, and his daughter was 6 or 7 at the time, and she had the pink sheets and the princess netting around the bed and the princess pillow, the pink princess pillow, and he snuck in one night and took a photo of me like snuggling with the princess pillow. And and now his daughter, she came to the show in New Jersey. Now she's 19, and it's like, wow, it's like I remember sleeping in the princess room when you were just a kid, and she's all grown up now. So that's how long I've known Ripper for. But good times back then, man.
Well, I can relate to that. Again, I'm up here in Rochester, and 3 or 4 times a year, I'll go down to Jersey, stay with Walt. We'll go to shows, this and that. And the first couple of times I went down there, he would extend hospitality, and I would stay in his 8-year-old daughter's room, and I'd be sleeping in a Hello Kitty bed. And, you appreciate the invite, but I said, you know what? I'm a big guy. I can get a room and whatnot. So, but you talk about Ohio. Jim, uh, you're going to be in Ohio this week. This Friday and Saturday. Where are you going to be?
Yeah, I don't know when you guys are airing this, but or posting it, but the what is it, the 12th and the 13th? Yeah, at the Funny Stop in Cuyahoga Falls, which is right next to Akron, Ohio, and it's one of my favorite clubs. I recorded a live album there years ago, so anxious to get back. Ripper always comes out to the shows. He brought his daughter the last time. Again, such a surreal moment that his daughter, who I still, you always see kids as kids, right? Even though she's a grown up now, but to her to hear my filthy mouth for the first time, it was almost a little awkward. But it's Cleveland, that whole area of Northeast Ohio, man, the fans up there are killer.
No, we'll be. This will be debuting Thursday night. This coming Thursday. So
Yeah.
it'll be relative. So if you're out there listening, it's Thursday night. Get some tickets if you're in the Ohio area. How do you do? What is it?
Funnystop.com.
Okay, funnystop.com, and we'll have all this in the show notes. Any chance of your routing making up to Rochester? We're right around the corner, or is it? How do you route this?
Yes, well, someone's I actually just got someone checked my avails for sometime in July for up that way. So I'm waiting to hear back. So it sounds like I got something pending up in that area. It's a promoter I work with up there. So looking forward. The last time I was up there was I guess probably about 6 months ago. I was up there doing some shows with Jack Russell's Great White. We played up that way. Did a couple shows. So yeah, I'll be back soon.
And that's tough. I saw some video clips earlier today up on Metal Sludge, and the live shows. It's looking a little sad. Do you see some of that?
With Jack?
Yeah.
It's look, he's had he's had a tough run, man. Obviously, but he sounds good still. So that's the thing. It's like, if people, if people once people sort of get over, I think, the initial sort of shock of like, he's kind of frail and all that, and he starts singing, and of course, all those songs. I mean,
Yeah.
great, so many songs that and sing along to. I think once they get over that, and also his band is terrific. Once they get past that, then they kind of get in the groove of it. But yeah, it's a little jarring at first, man. It's terrible. You always want to see your idols as they were, but
Yeah.
there's only, there's guys like Glenn Hughes, like there's very few people who still pull it off. Like Glenn grew the 70s hair back. He's still he's in his 70s, but sounds like he's still singing in the 70s because his voice is still incredible. But not everybody's like that. Sometimes you go and you're like, all right, yeah, the guy from Loverboy has not missed too many meals.
Yeah, and all due respect to Jack, I'm not cutting in on him. It's just from a personal standpoint. I'm like, geez, I guess, Diano sort of laid the groundwork for wheelchair singing, if you will. And, hey, we're lucky we're running around. We're not that much younger. So, but that being said, let's talk about the album. Why McSorley's? I know in the show you joke that, hey, we got a bunch of our own that drink and not too PC. But a serious note, why McSorley's?
Yeah, well, because McSorley's to me is a place I've been going to forever, and it's a place where you go with your pals and you sit and you drink McSorley's ale and you solve all the world's problems in an afternoon, and then you go home. And as you sort of alluded to, like a lot of material on this album is me trying to figure out what the hell's going on in the world. And so to me, that's the place to do it, in front of a bunch of beer drinkers and hellraisers. And again, place I've gone to forever, and they were cool enough to let me do it there. They've never even done a show in there before. So, when I asked them how much to rent the place out for the night, they were like, how long have you been coming here? I said, 30 years. They're like, you paid enough.
Wow. Wow. Well, hey, Don, I was just curious, like, going back to the album, like, what made you do the whole Motorhead theme? No Sleep Till Hammersmith. You did a great Lemmy impression in the beginning, and it says like you had Phil Campbell play a little bit on the intro. And was that him on the back end of the album too?
Yeah, so this is how I knew it was meant to be and how I knew it would be Motorhead, because all my albums are parodies of my favorite
Yeah.
bands, right? I've done Saxon, I've done Judas Priest, I've done Thin Lizzy. And so, sitting in McSorley's one day drinking with my friends, solving the world's problems,
Hmm.
um, thinking about where could I record this album. The longer we sat there, the more I was like, this is the place. And I knew I wanted to do Motorhead, so it was natural. No Sleep Till McSorley's. I got the owner on the phone. We had that conversation that I just told you about. Then I emailed Motorhead's manager, Todd Singerman, who's a good friend and a phenomenal guy, and asked him, hey, I'm going to do this No Sleep Till McSorley's. Could I use the Motorhead font for my name? And he emailed me back 10 minutes later, anything you want. So you have a couple more beers and you go, anything you want? Okay. Can I use the original artwork from No Sleep Till Hammersmith? 10 minutes later, whatever you need, man, I'll get you the artwork. So that came together. I renegotiated my deal with Metal Blade. I emailed the head of Metal Blade and asked if they were interested in continuing on with me, and they said absolutely. So we got that done. And then the last piece of the puzzle was texting Phil Campbell, hey man, could you do the intro and outro for me? And yes, that is actually Phil Campbell from Motorhead. And he was gracious enough to say, yeah, I'd love to do it, man. So it was meant to be this way, man. And in 1 hour of day drinking, I got all that stuff done.
That's cool because it's it's just organic, and I like that how you have those themes. That's awesome. So it just came to you. When did you record that? Because it is a little time sensitive.
Yeah.
When was that recorded?
So I recorded it in September 2023. And so it comes out here, in a couple of weeks. And look, I always say this. I know the people who watch you guys and listen to you guys. They get that they get it that it's the classic Motorhead, and they even gave me the back cover too, as you could see.
Oh, cool.
But if you get that, that's good. But what's on the inside, I want it to be for everybody. You don't have to be into hard rock and metal to get the comedy or whatever I do inside. The content should appeal, I hope, to everybody. But because it's something near and dear to my heart, and I do talk about music on the album, obviously. I love paying tribute to my favorite bands, and I'm ashamed it took 5 albums to get to Motorhead. But as you could, it all came together organically, as they say.
You could start a new band. It could be Phil Campbell and his Bastard Sons and Don Jamieson.
Yeah, well, I toured with those guys. Yeah, I toured with them in England, and that's how I first mentioned it to Phil, and he kind of said yes then. But in the heat of the moment, I don't hold anybody to anything. But yeah, Phil's become a friend, and his band with his kids is really, really great, and his kids are awesome. So I'm glad to see Phil doing so well. Obviously, we lost Lemmy in 2015. But obviously that music lives on.
That's a band I want to see come to the States. Like, I know maybe they played on one of these cruises you've been on or whatever, but like they got to come to the States at some point. We got to see that here.
Yeah, if somebody, if a bigger band can, bring them for support, and they could actually make some money, but the touring is just so tough. I mean, his son Tyler showed me the merch breakdown, especially over in the UK. They have a thing called a VAT tax. So on top of paying your merch person, giving a cut to the venue, and this VAT tax, like they're taking home maybe half of even just the merch. So it's just tough, man. It's tough for all bands to tour now. It's like if you don't sell merch, you can't tour, and the buses and all that stuff. So hopefully, a band like Metallica, who, obviously worship Motorhead and those guys, maybe Metallica, brings them out and does some shows here in the States with them. That'd be great.
It would be awesome, but you can't even compare anything. Like Metallica. They're doing another go around, and they're bringing the same opening bands. Let me ask you this: what does 9 Inch Kills have over Lars that they're on the third go around? I saw them 2 summers ago when they played a couple on-off stadiums. I saw them in Buffalo. Then last year we saw them up in Jersey, and they're again. What's with that? What do you think?
Young audience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess Ice Nine Kills fits in with the Five Finger Death Punch a little bit more. It's a different crowd, different day. But
Yep.
yeah,
Wolf
I'm with you
Gang.
guys. I'm hoping that at least this summer, if we head up to Boston, we get it some different set lists, maybe some different stadium acts, or the day in between, there's something different. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. And they usually have, yeah, like you said, like they usually have stuff revolving around the weekend too in town.
Yeah.
Like James and Lars's sons both have bands who
Yep.
Yeah.
is part of, the tour as well, but on the periphery a bit. So yeah, they always do good things, and they always bring out bands and really help them to take the next step up. Ice Nine Kills not my thing. I agree with you, John. It's not my thing, but I know why they do it. It's the
Yeah.
same thing Wolfgang out. They're looking for some new faces to come to the crowd. When you're that big, it's like how do we bring in people who maybe really don't know Metallica that well, or think, oh, Metallica's these old dinosaurs, and then they come to the show and they see, hey, they still got it.
Yeah, that's true. You don't sell out MetLife 2 nights just by your name alone. I mean, Metallica. But, the third time, why don't they get like My Chemical Romance? Offer them like a reunion. Those guys are huge.
And they're
Actually,
Jersey guys too.
Are they?
Yeah, Jersey guys.
Oh wow. I think
Yeah.
well, look, that's all probably business stuff. Like
yeah.
like bands say, like, hey, we can you guarantee us X amount of shows or what? Who knows what it is, but they've all their track record speaks for itself, which is they've made bands like Volbeat huge, Avenged Sevenfold. They've never been afraid to take out these younger
Machine Head,
bands.
Lamb of God. Did you see the tour last year in Jersey? Did you make any of those shows?
No, I was out of town. I missed them. So I think I'm going to take a road trip to Chicago and go see them.
Yeah, it's awesome. We got a little in with them, and we were given the friends and family, but it was awesome. We actually didn't see Ice Nine Kills. By Sunday, we took that first one off, but Pantera was great. Wolfie, I got a picture with Valerie. She was like right behind me. It was cool. It was cool. Good time.
She's at all the shows. She's great. She's the momager. She every time I've gone to see Wolfgang, she's there, and that's cool. It's good that her and her son are bonding.
Are you a fan of the Wolfie stuff? Besides it's Ed's son, do you like the stuff like the Mammoth?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, really solid hard rock stuff. His band is really, really good.
Yeah.
They're great live. It's I know it's a weird fit in a little ways, sort of like we said with LA Guns with KK's Priest, because they're not a metal band by any stretch of the imagination. But again, I like that fit where it's just a little bit more mainstream. And of course, everybody in the world knows the last name Van Halen, so you can't go wrong. But I like it, yeah, a lot.
Well,
Hey, Don, going back to the album, like some of the subjects you cover that I appreciated on it. Of course, there's like the COVID stuff, and then I love the part about like the politically correct names, like the woke generation. A little bit on friendly poking at Joe Biden, but I kind of had my own moment that I thought of you the other day when you referred to somebody as quote unquote assigned man at birth. So my son plays roller hockey, and we were down in Aberdeen on Saturday morning, and I'm waiting for him to come out from his youth league. And the female roller derby team, the New Jersey, whatever they're called, they're coming out. Now, these women are jacked up like a offensive line on the frickin' Jets. And in comes this person who's about 6'2" with a bulge in the front of their pants and tits. So assigned man at birth playing on the roller derby team.
Assigned male at birth. That's right. Yeah. And hopefully they don't suck as much as the Jets offensive line. But Yeah, it's a crazy world we live in, and of course, and I apply that to a bunch of the bands that we love, and I make their names politically correct on the album. I make Thin Lizzy politically correct and Black Sabbath politically correct, and go down the list there. But because it's like, to put it into our world, I think is a funny twist on that whole thing because I can't even keep up with the language anymore. That's why I like talking to guys like you, man. We just talk like we've always talked.
I like how you called it faith in rock and roll is let's say the chapter, but like how you say it's not Guns N' Roses, it's Gun Control and Roses, and it's not Black Sabbath,
fun.
it's Person of Color Sabbath, and you can't say Thin Lizzy, and you can't listen to Fat Bottoms Girls the song anymore, and on and on and on. It was a cool way to kind of end the album.
As I'm listening to the CD and listening to through the ears of a 56-year-old, what do you think someone that's younger listening to it? And they're like, why are you not so much making fun of this? Because I have sons between 25 and 31. And professionally, I work in customer service. So I interact with the public all the time. And sometimes when we're working with my sons, they're like, Dad, you can't say that. I go, 10 years ago you could. Well, you can't say that now. Like in the thing you're talking about, you made the joke about, yeah, it was nice 70-degree day in October, Indian summer. Can you really not say Indian summer?
No, you cannot. Of course not. What did I say? You have to say Native American pumpkin spice summer or whatever. It's listen, forget 10 years ago. How about 10 minutes ago? Like something you
Yeah.
said 10 minutes ago. We can't, I'm sure somebody will now, it'll be a word that's canceled. But now, here's the point of all of it is to make people laugh. And if you can't laugh at yourself, then,
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't come to a comedy show. But all this material is stuff I've been doing for a couple of years. So I've done it. Everybody I talk about on this album, whether it's young people, old people, LGBTQ, trans, doesn't matter. They've all been to my shows and they've all heard the material, and I got it all to a point where they all laugh at it. Because I'm not up there yelling, "Get off my lawn." I'm not that old guy yelling, "Get." I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to figure this all out. You help me out. So I'm not trying to shove anything in anybody's face. I'm just trying to say, like, hey, I'm trying to figure this out. So let's figure it out together.
Yeah, true. Great point. It's exactly the same thing I'm thinking. I'm like, hey, I don't judge. So let's touch on this the Monsters of Rock cruise. I watched a lot of your videos and I looked into that. That looks awesome. Tell us about it. How awesome is it? Did you work it or was it half work, half play?
Well, it's work, but I mean, it's the funnest work you could have. I mean, it's a floating party with rock stars for 5 days. And myself and Jim Florentine and Eddie Trunk host it every year. And it's the Love Boat with STDs. I mean, it's a great time. It's the USS Mullet of the Sea. It's cool because the artists are very they're very friendly with all. Part of the appeal for people who buy cabins on there and take the cruise is that you're going to interact with people in all the bands. There's a few people who keep to themselves a little bit more, but for the most part, like you might sit down for breakfast with Queensryche, or you might hang out at the pub at the end of the night with Steve Harris or even an Eddie Trunk. I mean, even big stars like that hang out. That's the appeal
Or
of
Don
it.
Jamieson.
Or even a Don Jameson. You buy me a Miller Lite, I'll hang out with you all day. But it's a cool time. There's stuff going on from 10 in the morning till 2 in the morning, so that you're always running from one thing to the next. And it makes a couple stops, the Bahamas and Cozumel, Mexico, and you get off the boat and party. And so it's a job, but the greatest one you could have.
Is it worth it? From my standpoint, because after looking at there was a nice lineup this year. Y&T, except I think was Saxon on there.
No, KK's Priest was on.
KK's, and some bands that maybe you wouldn't go see them if they weren't on there, because it is on there. It's so it's worth going. It's all that.
It really is, because then you have other stuff like, I'm always one of the judges of the So You Think You Can Shred contests, where cruisers bring their guitar on the boat and they get up and, they're given time to shred. And Kip Winger hosts it. And then like this year it was me, Nuno Betancourt, Joe Satriani, Joel Hoekstra, Michael Wilton, like all Courtney from Burning Witches, all judging these cruisers. And, I don't play guitar, but if I had to get up in front of friggin' Joe Satriani and Nuno and Richie Kotzen, I wouldn't, I would just, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to plug in. It's not even worth it. So I give them credit, they get up there and they do their thing, but some of them take a beating. So that's a lot of fun and people love that. And then we've been doing this thing called Punchlines and Backlines, which is myself, Jim Florentine, and my friend Courtney Cronin, who's a comic from LA, where we get a musician to do stand-up for the first time. And Courtney and I work with them and help them put together an act. And so we've been doing that on the cruise for like the last 3 years. And that's super fun. Kip Winger did it. Red Beach did it. Todd LaTorre from Queensryche did it. Jeff Scott Soto did it this year. So it's really fun. And the guys all do really well, because everybody's, rooting for them.
I saw a video, Reb Beach singing. Was he doing karaoke and he sang some ballad or something? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, that's the other big part of the cruise. Is at about midnight they start the karaoke up in the very top of the ship, and you never know who's going to come in and sing. And a lot of times the artists do come in and sing. I'll never forget, I think one of the first cruises I went on, I got off the elevator and they're in the middle of karaoke. And I go, God, this guy sounds exactly like Jeff Tate. And I walk in and it's Jeff Tate doing karaoke. So, you never know. I think the last night was Reb got up, and then it was Nuno, Richie Kotzen, and Glenn Hughes all got up and did a song together. So, that's worth the price of admission alone. Come on.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, when the hell do people sleep? Or is it like a 3-hour pocket from 2 to 7, and then you go to the breakfast? And Don, like, I'm imagining this too. Like what's the code of conduct? Like Steve Harris is down having eggs at 7 a.m. Do you have people that are like, "Hi, Mr. Harris, can I have a photo?" Or then do you have guys that go over and be like, "Hey, Steve, like, you're fucking best bass player ever," and like kind of drool all over the guy?
Yeah, you get those two extremes, and then everything in the middle, right? So, the first night of the cruise, Steve Harris came down and hung out in the pub for a few hours. So, he's not shy about getting out, which means he knows, he's going to have some encounters. But honestly, man, 98% of the people on that cruise are super respectful. They sort of find an opening and they take it. But if you're hanging in a pub and people are drinking, some people get a little excited and start going, "Steve Harris, you rule," But it's all
Probably
good.
rolling his eyes like, "Oh."
Or go the other way.
I do this.
Go the other way. This guy's too boozy. Start saying, "Dude, what's with the 5-minute intros of every song on Sujutsu? Can't you do a 4-minute song anymore?" Just being a dick. But you're right. Come on. Pick your spot, read the room, understand it, That's cool. So, hey, well, maybe next year we'll look at the lineup. It's only like I think 5K would cover it.
Listen, I think Metal Mayhem ROC, we should be able to do something from the ship.
That's another way that's another angle to take on that. So yeah, keep that in mind. But I don't think it's anywhere near $5,000. But I've seen the prices of regular cruises. I don't know exactly how much the Monsters of Rock cruise is, but give or take 500, 750 bucks or whatever, and you get all that stuff I just talked about. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
That again, the price of admission alone is worth it to see artists up there drunkenly singing karaoke.
I saw the Queensryche set. It was awesome. Yeah, it's really laid back. No, I said that 5K. It was everything. It's and I'm a big Miami Dolphin fan, so I would stay over in Miami and hang out a week in Lauderdale. But that's awesome. Well, you got any more tidbits you want to cover?
Don, talking about the cruise, like again, one of the things you talk about on the album is like there was a performance once where you were actually doing comedy and up comes this pink princess cruise boat. Like, tell a little bit about that story because it's really funny.
Well, I know I don't want to give away the bit,
Okay.
but now that I'm thinking about it, the Disney princess has become a through line of my life. Sleeping in the princess bed with the princess pillow at Tim Owen's house, and then performing on the pool stage on the Monsters of Rock cruise when we're docked in Nassau, Bahamas, and not realizing that the Disney princess is docked 10 feet away, and I'm up there like Andrew Don Clay, like cursing and screaming my head off, and and everybody's laughing because they're looking over and they're just seeing like these parents like freaking out because they could hear every word I was saying on their ship, and it definitely wasn't appropriate for an 11-year-old dressed as Mulan. Let's put it that way.
Well, unless you guys in karaoke, you broke out a killer version of "It's a Small World" after all.
Right. Well, the karaoke's inside, so I think I haven't performed on the pool stage since that, but since that happened. But yeah, sometimes things get tricky in port. One of the cruises a couple years ago, we were in San Diego, and John 5 was playing on the pool stage, and the cops came on the boat and made them shut it down because there was a bunch of apartment buildings around the port who were complaining about the noise, which was, so friggin' metal. So I loved that. But it was great because then John and his band just broke their stuff down and their crew, and they took it downstairs to another venue and a smaller venue and just set it up, and they picked up right where they left off like 30 minutes later. And it was so cool.
That's like a Spinal Tap moment right there.
I just saw John about a month ago up here in Rochester, and it was weird. He didn't have a bass player. It was just him and the drummer, but on certain songs, the guitar tech will come out and play bass. I just didn't understand, but he was good. It was enjoyable. It was cool. The rock that rocks in that Jamieson show. Back in production every couple of weeks on That Rocks. What do you got going on with those two shows?
Well, that Jamieson show just ended at 235 episodes. And I just started to add the interviews from all those shows up on my YouTube page, which is just YouTube/Don Jamieson. I uploaded I interviewed John Densmore from The Doors. I think that interview's up. I'm going to put the Halford one up. But I'm moving on to do a different concept with a co-host you guys will definitely know, which I'll talk to you guys about when I'm allowed to announce it. But the thing with That Rocks, also on YouTube, which is myself, Eddie Trunk, Jim Florentine.
Yeah.
We got about 25 episodes up there. We filmed like 6 interviews on the Monsters of Rock cruise. So we just put one up, I think, a couple of weeks ago. We went live and rolled it in. Mark Tornillo from Accept, who were one of the big hits on the boat. They were absolutely incredible. So we got that coming up. We got a bunch more. Glenn Hughes coming back on the show. Joey and John from Armored Saint. Jason McMaster. So we're definitely gonna have a lot of episodes coming out this summer. So that's YouTube at That Rocks.
Well, they're all great people because we're all friends with them too, and look forward to that.
Yeah, man. Doing that metal show for 14 seasons was a great honor. But no matter whether there's millions of viewers around the world or a handful, I'm still gonna always have some kind of platform where I can help these bands that I love so much out. And as well as doing obviously my stand up, but my foot's firmly in the rock world. You guys are doing it, man. We all do this together. We all elevate, our genre, and that's super important because this is our kind of music ebbs and flows a lot. So, the more we support it, the more we keep it out there. The more we raise our kids to hopefully love this music.
Yeah.
We keep it alive.
I'm never surprised about who's into it because when we were younger, those older guys that saw Zeppelin in 71, but up here, we run into people and they're like, they're into the stuff that we grew up on and we saw, and they're like, they can't believe that, we saw Metallica in 88. It's unfathomable. So it's all different generations. It's awesome. But you touched on a subject a little earlier, and I just want to get a little more of your opinion about this touring landscape. How do they do it? Like a band like Raven, they're coming to town in a few weeks and I'm following the tour. How do they keep coming back? Good friend of mine went and saw him in Arizona and said there's like 40 people there.
Yeah.
How do they keep going around? How do they, and I understand both John and Mark have other financial involvements and, that's probably paying the bills, but what keeps them coming back? I know they have a new album and it's the tour cycle, but what's your take on this touring situation?
Well, I mean, you saw even with John 5, John 5 always had a trio and he cut it down to a duo now, so it's you're trying to save money everywhere you can. You're trying to figure a way to tour where you can actually go home with some money, not break even. That's, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons can't come here and make money. Unfortunately, that's why I had to go to England. And, the tour I was on was Black Star Riders, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, and Michael Monroe. That, to me, that's like a dream lineup. But that wouldn't, you get 100 people in a club to see that in America, which sucks, So I'm so glad I got to see that show, a dozen times. So, it's America's sometimes a tough market to crack. And if you can't make it, a lot of bands go, look, I know we're going to lose money, but it's just a matter of how much are we going to lose on this tour. So, a band like Raven, hopefully, if there was 40 there one night, maybe hopefully the next night there was a few hundred for them. I guess sometimes, they got an older fan base. If they play on a Tuesday somewhere, they're going to have less people because their fans are older like us, and everybody gets up and goes to work on Fridays and Saturdays. They probably make their money, right? But it's a tough go for anybody, even if you're kind of an established band. But I always say I'm lucky. I get to go see shows pretty much all the time for free, but I always go right to the merch booth, buy something the minute I walk in the door, because at least I know that money goes directly to them. And that's how 95% of them are making any money, is by selling merchandise. So, if I could give advice to anybody, if you go see your favorite band, if you have a couple extra bucks, I know a lot of people don't these days, but if you do, buy a pin, buy a sticker, buy something if you can.
It's funny you say that because at the KK show, I went to the merch after one of them, and I was talking to Ace Von Johnson, and whatever, I wanted to buy something, and I'm like, you got any patches or stickers? And as it turns out, the guy from Odin was there, Duncan. I forget his first name. So I'm like, well, I go, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm selling merch. So there I am. So I bought his stuff, and it was weird. It was weird, but yeah, you always got to buy something, just support. And, not for anything, like you said, we're doing our share by getting the word out there. And, besides the interview, we do the blogs. This is going to be on our YouTube. I'll soundbite this out and put it on our radio show on Monday nights. It's a three-headed promotional, what we're doing here. And you know what? We make a little money, but it's for the love of it. If we could get some free tickets and talk to dudes, then it's all good.
Yeah,
We just got to get.
You just said it all, man. It's the love of it. So you want to know
Yep.
why Raven plays for 40 people? It's for the love of it, you know. And if you don't still have that passion, there's no sense to do it. You know, if stand up still wasn't fun for me, I definitely would not do it. You know, there's other things I could do. I'm not sure what they are, but there must be something else I could do. But if you don't love it, if you're not committed to it, there's no sense to do it. But yeah, we all got to make a living. You know, everyone's got bills.
You're still
Yep.
excited to do it. You still get excited about going on the road. As much as it sucks traveling, don't want to sound cliche, but it's worth that buzz when you get introduced and you walk out there and you make friends for that 50 minutes that you're on stage. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. So when people start to pre-order my new album, No Sleep Till McSorley's, then I could just sit back and count the millions that will start coming in from all the pre-orders of the the album, and I'll have physical copies at all my live gigs. So if you want a CD or later in the summer vinyl, I will have those available as well.
Don, I
Thanks for-
just came up with an innovative idea for you for selling your album. Next week at the Rock, when Judas Priest and Sabaton are there, you need to go outside with the guy selling a T-shirt for $10 outside, and you need to have some CDs in your jacket, man.
Yeah, I can undercut the competition out there and sell Don Jamieson T-shirts for $5.
That's right. CD and shirt package for $10. So we got a shitload of shows coming up by us. How do you fit them all in? Like, is there like ever a scenario where Don says, you know what, I'm not booking any shows on the weekend of August 6th because I'm going to see 5 shows in a row at PNC and I'm not working that weekend?
Yeah, I've had some of those weekends for sure, but no, I don't like to turn stuff down, especially since COVID too. You know what? Like I was like, we may never work again. So that was really scary to think. Maybe I don't have a career after this. Are we ever going to be able to get together in a public space again? So, yeah, I rarely say no. I mean, you know, I think I say on the album, you know, you offer me a 6-pack and a hand job, I'll play your backyard barbecue.
You do. There's a visual I'll never forget. So one more time on the website, where can people find info on you?
Just on all my social media, Don Jamieson Official on Instagram, Facebook, Real Don Jamieson on X, YouTube Don Jamieson. I post all my gig dates up there and stuff. Not the backyard gigs. I mean, you know, but
Yeah.
the legit gigs are all up there. And like we said, Cuyahoga Falls, the Funny Stop this Friday and Saturday. And yeah, just continuing on, man. Appreciate the support, you guys.
Thank you. Walt, any parting shots before we let him go?
No, but Don, I know I'm going to see you at one of these. There's like the spring and summer in Jersey and New York, man. It's like there's 2 shows a week, it looks like. So we got plenty of stuff coming up. Priest, Queensryche, Raven, The Shed, Sammy Hagar, Deep Purple Yes was announced today. Tons of shit.
Yeah, I'll definitely be at the Sammy one. There's a few of those other ones you mentioned I'll be at. So we will hang. And then, John, I'll see you hopefully in July when I come up your way.
Cool. All right. Well, listeners, remember, do us a favor, get up to our website, metalmayhemroc.com. Do us a favor, sign up for the newsletter, stay in touch on our Thursday night podcast, Friday night free-for-all video, the Monday night radio show I do on Metal Devastation Radio, and CD reviews, everything else we do. For my co-host, Metal Walt, and our guest, Don Jamieson, I'm the Vernomatic, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.